Welcome to douglAR Radio at Atlantic Studio. And of course, today being Friday, and I know for a fact that you have listened to the tremendous way in which the leader of the opposition, the leader of the United National Congress, and her response to the color embodied dotishness that he present in the parliament that they call a budget. All right? And I think the leader is quite right that they need to withdraw that budget and call fresh election. I think that is appropriate for the situation, appropriate for the climate, and most appropriate for the people of Trinidad and Tobago. So I want to congratulate the leader. Well done, leader, and your team. As usual, you have done a tremendous job in pointing out the weakness, the hardship, the stupidity of this regime, and more so the way in which this man they call Keith Christopher Rowley and his government intends to bring the people of this country to their bellies. We have seen Lake Asphalt workers already on their knees, and we have seen those guys pleading for a salary, pleading for sustenance, pleading for what can only be described as what they have earned by the way of their employment. And yet, to the end of the day, in order to provide for their family, they had to go on their knees and beg and pray and ask the great Creator to open some window of heaven and allow some sort of blessing to fall upon them by touching the hearts of the evil. These evil individuals that we have in government, touching their hearts, if they have any, in order to get their wages. You could understand that? You could understand. Have you ever seen workers throughout the length and breadth between 2010 and 2015? Have you ever seen workers anywhere on their knees begging and pleading for their salary? This government, it is a government by the people, for the rich, for the financiers, for their family, for the recusals, for themselves. They benefit everything, while you, the people of this country, benefit absolutely nothing from your vote.
And them Lake Asphalt workers look like a good P&M nest, you know.
I am telling you, it's Labre Point 14. It's Labre Point 14, people. And yet, to the end of the day, if your party could treat you and to bring you to the knees, then much less those of us who would not support that P&M regime and that P&M party ever. So you could imagine. Ladies and gentlemen, as we warm things up a little bit,
I feel you got to do a show in front of Lake Asphalt one day, you know.
Yeah, I think that's a very good idea, because I'm certain that we'll have some. A matter of fact, there are some folks from Lake Asphalt who continue to call me and ask Mr. Roberts when we could meet. But actually, my schedule is so tight, it's so hectic. I think that it doesn't have enough hours in the day for me right now, because there's so much going on. I am all over this country.
You need some disciples, man.
Actually,
you have to call on some people to be some disciples.
Yeah. I had to put that team, because people calling me from Carpi Chima, from Chagonas, from Digo Martin, from Sandy Grande, and some people are promising to reach, and I just can't reach yet because I just don't have the time. And then, of course, actually, my main hand and foot down it in the garage right now. So it's a real hectic way for me to get around right now. A matter of fact, today I just rent a car to move around. Today. I had to rent, and I was so able, look, actually the first time I got a wet man to drive, you know. You know that's called the T Daddy wet man?
Boy, you better make a peel on the air if anybody have a fuel pump for your van.
Boy, I got a wet man to drive today, and watch me, actually I driving that wet man. And I reach in town and I only say, I is a dry man from South, me no wet man, I a dry man from South. Using a wet man to accomplish the mission. And we will talk about that fuel pump a little later. But ladies and gentlemen, Lake Asphalt. Why Lake Asphalt end up in a position where they have to go on their knees and plead for their own salary? Let me help you. We have had a government came into power on the perception of corruption within the United National Congress. We had a government who came into power by the help and the strategy of the mainstream media. We had a government who came into power in 2015 not only because of the public perception that was created and generated through Keith Rowley and the mainstream media, but we also had a government in office by you, the people of this country, and most important, by the help of the EBC. Because I don't know how many of you could remember. Last week, an idiot called and tell me that the UNC came out of power because of corruption. That is why they lost the election. And I was trying to help him to understand that, look, the UNC lose the 2015 election simply because of the help of the EBC, who had extended an hour while the UNC was already in lead at the end of the polling natural time. The EBC extended 1 hour, and they tell us it's because of rain. And that was the period that the EBC utilized to ensure that Keith Rowley comes to the Prime Minister residence as the Prime Minister.
But you know something, Victor? A lot of people don't know that the UNC took that to court and won that case. The court actually declared that the EBC acted illegally by extending. And you know, that result still stand? I could never understand that. I know in races and things, when they find somebody cheating, they disqualify you.
Yep.
But that result still stand. So in other words, the EBC unilaterally, remember Kamala was the Prime Minister? The EBC, the independent institution that they are, they unilaterally decided to extend against the law. The UNC took it to court, won the case, but the result still stands.
Was never reversed.
Huh?
The results was never reversed.
It was never reversed. So I can't understand that. How this law does work like that. In every contest I know, once you cheat or you do something wrong, you're disqualified.
And you see, that is the problem, my brother. The problem is, while the EBC, you see, the EBC was able to manipulate the system. The EBC was able to achieve its goal. And the goal, together with the now Prime Minister, the mainstream media, was a holistic plan, because remember, Rowley came out with this fake email. And when the media, and you see, let me tell you something about the media.
And up to now, the media never, ever come out definitively and say that that email was a hoax. Despite the commissioner of police saying that that was a hoax and it never happened, the media, after they run with the million headlines and stories,
week after week,
having the Prime Minister toting her computer and phone, and the seizing and searching and all kind. And you know, the media never come out and say, Mr. Prime Minister, could you now say where those emails, where did you get those emails? Right? But you know, it's a strange thing. How come they were never sued for that? How come people in the opposition right now never sue the Prime Minister for that? Because they could easily say that it was revealed under the cloak of parliamentary privilege. But I could point out to you several times, they on their platform talking about email and the murder and all this kind of thing.
Yeah.
I feel when they allowed, I mean, I could understand the media lying, thieving, they're getting paid, they're getting money to do these things. But it's about time we start a fight, mano a mano, glove, hard glove, right? That email thing, that is disgusting, disgusting. And you know what? Mr. Rowley got away with that. And he started to use that left, right, and center. When you listen to Commonwealth budget presentation, that man is just say, and recognized economists had said, they've just been making up stories about this professional said that, making up stories. And you know why they get away with it? One, the media will never challenge them. And two, boy, that brand of supporters they have will eat tutu and say, boy, the KFC tasting good.
And you see, and you are quite right, Archie. Let me tell you something. When this email gate started, let me tell you, the media themselves know fully well that that dotishness that Rowley had would never emails. Actually, my little 10-year-old son, Omar will be able to tell you, if Omar watch a document, Omar is able to tell you, yes, there is an email. And you could question Omar why, and he will tell you. And it shows that those so-called professionals in the mainstream media, they too, Archie, they must have known that those was fake documents. They must have known.
They knew. They knew those things were fake.
They know
that is nonsense.
They know. Actually, if you send an email to me,
they are getting money. They're getting big money, right? You calculate. You just watch the amount of government ads in those papers, and you calculate it out. Them don't need to sell that newspapers. Their circulation could go down to 100, but their money in the bank, right? And you get kicked out from the radio station about a month ago because they say you're talking too much UNC stuff.
They
prefer to run a little DJ program with 5 people watching.
And this is it. So the media knew for a fact that those paper that Rowley had was shoppiness. And I also am going as far to say that the acting commissioner of police and the cyber unit in the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, they too had to know that was fake. They are trained individuals. Those are individuals who are trained in a particular way by international professionals. And the cyber unit, they too would have known that those documentation, they are fake. But yet, because of the PNM appointed commissioner at the time, just like the PNM appointed commissioner that we have today, it is why Rowley and others would be able to get away. I remember that commissioner had instructed the seizure of devices from the opposition. Seize this device and search and warrant and execute and take this and laptop and all the halaboo. And to the end of the day, and you rightly, as you rightly said, to the end of the day, Rowley were able to get away scotch-free without any, even in the parliament, he were able to get away without any form of pulling up, without any form of making him accountable for these so-called documents that he say he received in the mail or wherever. You see, when we allow that damage, to take place, you see, let me tell you something, Archie. When you say you arrest David Lee, and the headline will put defrauding the government of $1.4 million, the damage that will go with that is that down the road, when David Lee would be able to prove to the country that he did nothing wrong, and that matter get kicked through the window, the damage,
political damage,
exactly, the damage that it caused. Today, even though Senator Anil Roberts is and was freed of all the allegation, today you will, because of the media and the damage that went out, and for the period of time that the media keep reminding and bringing back and influencing the population, not to forget, even though that you are cleared, today you will still hear people saying Anil Roberts was corrupted. That is what you will hear.
Actually, you know, there was never no allegation against Mr. Roberts personally, you know. What was said was he was the minister under which this live sport program that they demonize.
But what the media did with it?
They never, no allegations was never made against him, you know.
But what the media did with it, Archie?
Oh yeah, they spin it.
Exactly.
They spun that in a way that he looks
exactly
guilty.
That is what the media do with the story.
Right. Now, what I wanted to point out to you, Roberts, you know, a lot of special branch people has been listening to this program, and of course the police doing their normal work, they'll listen to this program. So I want us to make it quite clear that the bulk majority of police are good people. The problem when we say police, I want people to be careful. When we say police, we're talking about the Balize arm of the police service, right? But generally, you have a lot of police friends, you have a lot of interactions with the police, even the special branch. I find the special branches treat us very well, very fair, you know.
Actually, let me tell you what the special branch know. The special branch know that we don't have cocoa out in the sun.
Exactly.
They know that. And they know that when we speak, we deal with facts.
Yeah, and I find also know special branches treat us so courteous.
They also
and when we out on the road, they actually give us protection and they basically they be making sure everything's safe and okay with us. So I want the police that listening to be clear that we salute the hard-working, dedicated, honest police service, but it have a corrupt core. And I telling you that commissioner of police or acting commissioner, boy, he has somewhere bad to go in, no partner.
Archie, let me tell you something. The police themselves, they themselves know who are those corrupted individuals. They know. They know. Let me tell you, I'm going a little further today and say something with inverted commas. of recently, a certain police officer said to me, Victor Roberts, that what took place at the Queen's Park Savannah, where tear gas canisters were shot at peaceful protesters, that officer make it clear that police should be held accountable. And I say no more.
I thought you was going to say what he say.
I say no
where
more.
the shot call from.
Of course. Well, I can say that part.
Yes.
And he make
Man
it clear.
actually tell you who called the shot.
He make it clear which part the shot call from. He made it clear that the shot call from within the government circle. He made it clear. But we were already aware of that. We were already aware of that situation. So the fact remains is this. The mainstream media, they will never hold this government to account. They will polish. The mainstream media come like a shoe shine for the government. They will shine everything on Rowley just to make him look good. Even though the population would suffer, even though the crime rate will increase, even though they know that the government continues to mash up, break up, and put to death the economy of our country, they will never speak out. Let me share something with you folks. Shamfa Kojo. Let me share something with you guys here this evening. Listen this. Sports Minister Shamfa Kojo yesterday lashed out at critics of the 2022-2023 national budget, saying there were some people who never worked a day in their lives and were still receiving a pension as the safety net remains strong. Kojo, along with cabinet colleagues, Public Utility Minister Marvin Gonzalez, and Acting Minister of Digital Transformation Alison West, yesterday opened the 18 million Tagarigua Community Center at Bali Trace in Tagarigua. Speaking at the function, Kojo did not refer directly to the cut in gas subsidy, but said there had been lots of negative rhetorics about we having to walk everywhere now. She asked the audience to look at Barbados and Jamaica, claiming that while Trinidad and Tobago still had some cheese and other two territories had to settle for chalk. Chalk and cheese is what she was speaking, or what is she referring to. But let's move further. There are difficult decisions to make, but we march on so that the daughters of a laborer can become a doctor, or the sons of a fisherman can become a pilot, she said. We in government have held on to our commitment for free quality education, she added. Let me deal with this idiot a little bit. To start with, ladies and gentlemen, Shamfa Kojo should be the last to talk. She should be the last to speak on any given topic in this country. When Shamfa refers to the daughter of a laborer could become a doctor, I want to ask Shamfa Kojo, what happened to the nursing training facility that the UNC built in El Dorado? I want to ask Shamfa Kojo that question. The daughter of a laborer could become a doctor, but the institution that would have helped prepare the same laborer daughter that she talking about to become a medical practitioner, I want Shamfa to tell us what her government had done in relation to that facility in El Dorado. That is one. She went on to say that the sons of a fisherman would be able to become a pilot. Well, that is twofold. That is twofold. Today, Shamfa Kojo government, MP Ravi Ratiram, the shadow minister of agriculture, walk up, walk down, protest here, protest there, and to the end of the day, the government refused to put in place the necessary protection for our fisher folks out at sea. Our fisher folk continue to be murdered, to be robbed, and even when they are in difficulty and they call on the national security arm to assist, you would see that they receive answers that the Coast Guard vessels have no diesel. You would see where they receive answers that the vessels not working. You could understand Anil Roberts spoke at length with the radar system that the UNC had put in place that was up and running within a 360 degree, where the authorities would have been able to analyze vessels that coming in from international waters, vessels that coming from South American countries, vessels that coming from here, there, and everywhere. Today, the radar system, which was up and running, today the fisher folks in this country, they are now vulnerable to all the illegal elements and the pirates on high sea. And Ravi Ratiram could beg as much as he want. Shamfa Kojo government would not provide the necessary security to protect our fisher folk. So when Kojo, Shamfa Kojo, speaking about we have the sons of fishermen who would have been able to become pilots, which part, Shamfa? Which part? The fishermen in this country, they are not protected, so they go to sea, and sometimes when they return, it is in a body bag. You had the audacity to speak about fisher folk children becoming pilot. Well, let me deal with that. There was an aviation center that was built in Cuba by the UNC, by the People's Partnership under the leadership of Kamla Pasabi Sessa. That training facility where a Boeing landed in Cuba, I and Archie and others visited that facility. And Shamfa, you must tell the country what happened to the programs that the UNC had put in place, that fishermen and sons and daughters of the soil would have been able to go and train and graduate to become pilots in our Trinidad and in our Tobago. It is the onlyest facility in this part of this hemisphere, and your government, Shamfa Kojo, your government is the one responsible for the demise of that institution and the programs that were introduced by Kamla Posad Bisesa, where our children and those in our neighboring Caribbean countries would have been able to become pilots. Watch the Boeing. Watch the Boeing. Watch where it landing.
Right there in Cuba.
Right in Cuba.
And you know, one of the intentions was to make that a domestic airport, eh? You see,
well, I didn't even know that, Archie.
Yes.
I didn't even know that.
That was supposed to be a domestic airport for doing domestic flights, the Caribbean flights.
Right in Cuba. Right in Cuba.
You know, a lot of the people working Caribbean Airlines have graduated from that aviation school.
Archie, tell them.
Have been able to get jobs up the Caribbean and internationally. That is no more.
Tell them, Archie. Tell them.
Jed. Kamla go close down everything.
Jed. All you hearing, all you seeing, Archie, show them it again now. Show them it again.
I will get a better picture just now.
Yes, show them it again. Let them see what the visionary leader, the same leader that all you're talking about, too old to lead. It is the vision of that leader that Shamfa Kojo could open her mouth and speak about the sons of a fisherman becoming a pilot, but not under the PNM. Not under the PNM. What pilot you going to become under the PNM? What doctor you going to become under the PNM? It had to be a doctor of stones. That is what it had to be. A doctor of stones under the PNM. While actually looking for that picture, let me touch the next part of Shamfa Kojo. Idiotic talk. Shamfa Kojo tell us that her government is committed to quality education. You could imagine the big joke, ladies and gentlemen. Shamfa Kojo is telling us that her government is committed to free, very important word, free quality education. Shamfa Kojo, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. This is what Archie was speaking about, the aviation campus. This is what Archie was speaking about here. I'm coming back to Shamfa and the education just now. Ladies and gentlemen, this
Cuba,
is right in your Trinidad.
Once used in the sugarcane industry.
Listen,
and
give me some volume.
As a hub of activity with the adjacent industrial estate, has once again been selected to be a center point for new industry. In Trinidad and Tobago, aviation has always attracted great interest. In May 2012, a memorandum of understanding was signed to ensure that both the aviation training and aviation practice would materialize in Trinidad and Tobago.
The goal and mission of this aviation campus is to provide industry-relevant and responsive aviation training using state-of-the-art learning spaces, technology, and partnership relationships.
In January 2014, Cabinet approved 20 acres of land in Couva for the establishment of a UTT aviation campus. Envisioned to be a leading center for training in this field, the geographic area was carefully selected as the campus would share the company of other key stakeholders in the aviation industry. Work began in earnest on March 10, 2014, and keeping to a tightly set schedule, one of the largest hangars in the Caribbean began to rise from the lands once used for industrial sugarcane farming. Lifted along with these steel beams were the dreams and aspirations of many in the realization of a center of aviation training within our shores.
I always knew that I wanted to get into it, but I always thought that it wasn't something that would have been possible for me. So when this came out, I just knew that I prefer to wait and get into this.
It sort of benefits everybody because you're able to train them right here in Trinidad. Then you are able to employ them within to benefit your own country to develop Trinidad and Tobago. So I think everything just goes hand in hand and beautiful.
The Civil Aviation Authority, the Trinidad and Tobago Civil Aviation Authority, has donated the 727-200 freighter airplane that was given to them or donated to them by FedEx. The National Helicopter Services Limited, another stakeholder partner, has donated a Sikorsky S-76A++ helicopter, and the Trinidad and Tobago Air Guard has donated a Cessna 310 airplane.
Acquiring these aircraft was only the first part of the challenge. The other was moving the flagship Boeing 727 from the Piarco Airport to the Camden Airstrip in Couva. While construction moved apace at the new site, UTT and their partners on this groundbreaking project combed over every detail of the flight from Piarco to Camden, as together with a consortium of partners, UTT would make history in the landing of this aircraft at the new airstrip, said to be the largest aircraft ever to touch down in Couva. Finally, after years of dreaming and months of preparation, the day came to make history in the local and regional aviation industry by landing the Boeing 727 aircraft at the airstrip at Camden, Couva. With planning underway and safety a priority, various agencies worked together to have the airstrip ready for the aircraft's arrival and housing at its newly constructed hangar.
My 611 press clearance.
Taking off from Piarco at exactly 8:55 a.m., the crew skillfully flew over closed airspace for this historic event, ensuring the safe flight and arrival of the aircraft at its new home. As anticipation grew on the ground and curious bystanders gathered, the aircraft slowly became visible to the anxious crowd. After moments of anxious anticipation, history was made at 9:16 a.m. with the safe landing of the Boeing 727 aircraft at the Camden Airstrip, now to be named the UTT Aviation Campus.
We just started waving the flags. It was really, really exciting. And when they did the flyby, oh my gosh, I was like, yeah, this is definitely what I want to do.
With much fanfare, the aircraft's arrival was celebrated as the UTT Aviation Campus welcomed the flagship aircraft to its new home.
For UTT and our teachers or lecturers and so on, they have definitely prepared us with more than enough information, and it's definitely a field that I can see myself staying in.
The establishment of the UTT Aviation Campus heralds a new era in addressing the skills gap currently present in the aviation industry and stands as a testimony of the commitment by UTT to entrepreneurial education.
Well done, Kamla Posad Bisesa.
Imagine all of that. Remember, we went up there, and we need to show that video, Roberts.
Yeah.
We went up there and showed that place covered on with bush. The airplane had moss all over it. I mean, look at that investment. Look at the young people that were being trained as pilots and aviation engineers. All of that gone on the dung heap. For what? To give people CPEP work. To give people 10 days. And boy, they still love it, boy.
Shame on you, Keith Rowley. Shame on you, Keith Rowley.
Boy, not shame on Keith Rowley. Shame on the voters, boy.
Boy.
Keith Rowley, them will lie and thief and steal and do what they have to get into power. But it's people voting them, boy. And watch the children they were showing. It's not as if it's Kuva people or something. It's Trini people, boy. Right? Or as the girl say, Jed.
Let me tell you
that
something.
You see there, all of that millions of dollars of investment, all of that covered on in bush. But it was a shame. When we were passing there, you didn't even know what that was.
I didn't
had
know.
to point out to you, that was the aviation campus.
And we still take a chance and drive wrong to go down all by the fence and see what happened with the runway and all kind of thing. A shame. This is what Kamla had done Trinidad and Tobago. All this set a bunch of jokers who only opening all their mouth and talking rubbish. This is the opportunity, Shamfakosho, that Kamla Prasad Bisesa had created for the young people. The same fisherman's son that you talking about, and the same laborer daughter. Some of them graduated there, and they are at work as a result of Kamla Prasad Bisesa vision.
The fisherman's son can't be a fisherman. Because the fisherman getting killed, kidnapped, and thrown between the nets. Victor, you as a man with a boat, you're afraid to go out in the sea right in the Gulf of Paria.
Don't afraid now. Don't afraid now. That is
Right.
where we reach. That is where we
Any
reach.
fisherman pulling out from any port in Cuba, Claxton Bay, Pointe-à-Pierre, San Fernando, down Otaheite, every single one of them affected by piracy. They can't even go out and fish in the night. Night fishing gone through, eh?
Archie, listen something. 2012, MOU, Memorandum of Understanding signed. 2014, Cabinet approved 20 acres of land. By March 10, 2014, construction start. And you would imagine in 2014, early 2015, at 9:16 a.m., we had a Boeing 727 creating history, landing in Cuba.
Cuba.
Landing in Cuba.
Oh, I'm telling you, I know a little more than you know. That was supposed to be converted eventually into a domestic airport.
You see what I mean?
Partner.
You see what I mean?
You know what is the benefits of a domestic airport? That was tying up with the blue economy, right? Where you could increase the amount of tourists that you could carry across the Tobago, right? And when we say domestic, we mean that it going to the other Caribbean islands as well, eh? So imagine you going to have, as a matter of fact, that whole growth pole in that area where the hospital, the children's hospital, and I will always call that the Cuva's Children's Hospital. And I'm sure when Kamla comes back into power, that name going back up there, because that's what it is, that it was built for. It's a specialty children's hospital. You see, the PNM don't know about these type of specialty things now, right? As a matter of fact, they are on record as saying, we build that hospital for we people, right? That is what they on record as saying. But that whole central area, you know, I sent some documents to you just a couple minutes ago about the development plans of the UNC. But I would have liked, I'm going to get the 2015 master plan, the 2015 to the 2020 master plan. That area where that aviation campus was built is not no fly-by-night plan, you know. Remember, they had the aquatic center, the cycling velodrome, the cricket board. That's their headquarters, right? You have the children's hospital on that side. And something a lot of people don't know. If you look next to the children's hospital, you'll see a big
set a land fence wrong.
Right. That area was where the Science and Technology Ministry was going to be relocated. And we were going to build a huge data center there, right? That data center has the potential to earn a lot of foreign exchange, right? We could be a provision of cloud services, right? A backup for the South American continent, the North American continent, right? So that was going to be built there. The school feeding center was going next to the hospital. Across the road, they have the BMX track, the dirt track, right? That was going to be built there. So that central area was going to be a huge economic growth pole, not a hub. That was a growth pole, right? But all of that just came to a standstill in 2015. You see, this thing about crying about the price of oil and the price of oil. Listen, the price of oil is what the price of oil is. But you don't put all your eggs into one basket.
Yeah.
Right? And this is the problem with the PNM, you know. This is why Kamala could run this country for 5 years without raising a single tax, a single new tax. And the only way they know to create revenue is taxation. Tax. I cannot understand. You can't tax people. Eventually, you're going to get people unable to pay tax. It's from like having your cake and eating it. Yes, so these people have no idea. No ideas. It's just tax.
Archie,
tax.
So what you telling me here this afternoon is that whole central area would have been an area that would have earned foreign exchange, and not only earn foreign exchange, but it was an area that would have all the different institutions would have been compatible within that area, causing that central area to be an area that would benefit not only Trinidad and Tobago, but will benefit us financially as well as having specialists within that Cuba facility, that instead of our children would have had to source money to go abroad to do these operations. Are you saying that the plans of the United National Congress was to bring the specialists to that facility where we would have been able to have our children operations taking place right home here, instead of raising that set of money to send them to the outside?
But that ain't no rocket science, you know. So instead of you sending 100 children abroad, they stay right here in Trinidad, and you bring down 3 doctors, and you put up the 3 doctors.
3 specialists.
3 specialists. And you know what? Those 3 specialists training your young doctors, right?
So then, Archie, I understand why it was also very important for that nursing training facility in El Dorado.
You ball in El Dorado? Hold your horses, partner. Where you is right now? Marabella. If I tell you, right across the road where Marabella South Secondary is, they had the old junior secondary school there. Fazal Karim had launched a nursing academy there. You're hearing that for the first time, eh?
First time.
Yes. Had launched a nursing academy there.
Actually,
closed down under the PNM.
We have to get these information on the outside. We have to, you see, look, I didn't even know that, Archie. I am sitting here now.
I was just looking for some pictures of it, because, you know, people will say, oh yeah, that old talk. I actually have I have a video of it when Fazal Karim come and he launched the thing and they unveiled the plaque. And it was such a lovely plan.
Right in Marabella here.
Yes, the whole old junior sec school that Patrick Manning wanted to break down. When Kamala came into power, she said, no. No, that's a perfectly intact building built by the Japanese, and it's still standing there, right? Abandoned. I mean, now and then the ministry does use it to do a little. Right now, the army people is trained. They're training the army people there, right? But an institution like that was supposed to be a nursing institution, right? To train nurses. closed down, shut down, broke down, nothing for all your jed.
So when Shamfa Kojo telling the audience in Tagarigua that the sons and the daughters would be able to become pilots and doctors, then all Shamfa is really doing is just mamagaying the people.
That woman is a huge hypocrite. Huge hypocrite. Her government is closing down all these opportunities. To me, the only opportunity this government providing is CPEP, 10 days. You tell me what good jobs. Victor, tell me what good jobs is this government creating. You know, a teacher came from a secondary school nearby here yesterday to buy some stuff. And they were telling me that the highest mark amongst the intake is 30%. 30%. And she say, fight like that. Plenty fights in the school. So, partner, you see all them fight you'll be seeing on Facebook and thing. Look out for more.
So, Archie, let me try to understand something here this evening. So, you telling me that right across the road, there would have been a nursing academy right across the road. Added to that, going up on the east, we would have had the nursing institution up in the El Dorado area. So you are telling us that the vision of the UNC was to have one of these institutions right here in South, just as we have a university in St. Augustine. We would have had a university right here in South, in Debe. We had a nursing facility in El Dorado. We would have had one right here in South, in Marabella. And you telling me that this government simply abandoned all these ideas and projects that would have bring meaningful employment for the young, the educated, creating job opportunities where even the landscaper would have a job, the handyman would have get a job, and we would have had sustained employment taking place in Trinidad and Tobago. But under this government, they saw it fit to close and to abandon all these plans and give the people URP, CPEP, jobs.
What I'm going to tell you, you're going to be amazed even further. Because that nursing school was situated between two major secondary schools in Marabella, they had dovetailed a program, in Form 4. Students branch out into the plumbing, welding, and this type of thing. They were dovetailing a special nursing option for students who wish to pursue a career in nursing. So instead of they choosing ModSec or welding, they would have been able to do a pre-nursing. So they get into the nursing business one time. Now hold your horses. You're going to say, so what Trinidad was going to do with all these nurses? Partner, are you aware that there is a worldwide shortage of nurses?
Exactly.
So imagine you could never produce enough nurses in Trinidad. So instead of these people, so let's just say you produce 1,000 nurses, they could now apply and they would be given preferential status to live in places like the US, UK, right? Because they're a nurse. So technically, we would have been exporting nurses.
So Archie,
foreign exchange would not have come back.
Archie,
you know what is the kind of repatriation citizens repatriate from America to these countries like Guyana and Trinidad and Grenada, etc. I know you're starting to hear plenty,
Archie, and I want to hear more, because let me tell you something. I cannot see that a country will abandon these opportunities to support a party. I cannot imagine that all these opportunities, it had to be that the people of the country, they know nothing about it. It had to be somewhere along the line, it had to be that the country was not aware of these opportunities.
Well, partner, let me show you something to prove to you that they are aware. when Kamala was in power, you open your tap, you get water all the time. Now you open your tap, you ain't getting water. You had to, and they will still vote PNM. So it's a special brand of dotish. A special brand of dotish. But it could be that you might be right, that people really didn't know all of these things were happening on that campus.
Well, actually, I personally didn't know all. I know some, because remember I keep saying, I joined the UNC based on the policies and programs, but I didn't know all that I am knowing now. And when we made that tour, and you took me to that aviation center in
but it's not that we really take you to show, you know, we
No.
are really hunting down
Right,
some
but-
of them alleged land grabbing that was taking place in
Right.
that area. And while flying the drone, you know, we started
yeah,
sting.
what is this and what is that? And added to that, I ain't want to go. Yeah, I go in there, but I come in there just now. I'm glad you say that. I come in there just now. I'm coming back to Shamfa Kojo just now. Let me deal with Shamfa Kojo one time. So Shamfa Kojo, you telling the country that the PNM is committed to quality and free education. What a big, nasty, dirty lie, Shamfa Kojo. As I actually raised that point, the PNM, you and the PNM, you are not committed to any kind of education, because Archie, while flying the drone, we have encountered several schools, structure, early childhood,
To say several is more than several.
all over.
It's over about 50
About-
school. Are we talking about $1 million?
And Trinidad and Tobago,
Covered down in bush.
Trinidad and Tobago, we will have to show you that video. We will have to show you. We're going to do it another time. We're going to show you some of the schools that we visit on that same tour while we was looking for this land grabbing in Couva. I am going to show you the amount of schools, structure, foundation, steel, cover in vine, in bush. I am telling you that. So Shamfa Kojo, you and your government cannot be committed to even education, much less free. Because Shamfa Kojo, Kamla Prasad Bisesa had put in place a grant where our children would have been able to access these textbooks. You and Rowley and your government remove that grant, that today some of our children cannot, their parents cannot afford to buy any textbook, because you, Shamfa Kojo and Keith Rowley, have made our parents paupers in this country by the policies that you have implemented to protect the corruption with the fake oil, and to protect the corruption in many institutions. The level of corruption that is taking place in WASA and in TSTT. I want Kishan Haynes to tell us today if he and what salary he is collecting as a result of being a shoe-shine man for the government, a polish and shine man for the government. Tell Trinidad and Tobago that is what we are experiencing. So Shamfa Kojo, when you talking about committed to free and quality education, it was Kamla Prasad Bisesa that said a child must not go without a laptop. It was Keith Rowley who stood up and said that these devices is a waste of time and it is damaging the productivity of the school system. And added to that, Keith Rowley tell us that he have gotten advice from the professionals at the university. And today, we are calling on Keith Rowley to tell us who is that so-called professional I don't know if that professional is a professional like Nelson, like Queen's Counsel Nelson, who is charged with corruption. The same man who Faris Alwari allegedly cut a deal and gathered information from this man, even alleging that whether it is true or not, he would be protected from any form of persecution. I want to know, as a result of that, we had 2 UNC senators arrested and charged. This is the kind of individuals that Keith Rowley and his administration solicit advice from. I am telling you, Trinidad and Tobago, this is what is happening in our country. We have seen that Rowley and Alwari tell us that they get advice to withdraw a case with Malcolm Jones, where the Privy Council went in shock, and what they tell us, that they had received advice to withdraw the case. You know who they received the advice from? The same Queen's Counsel Nelson. The same Queen's Counsel Nelson who give one government advice is the same Queen Counsel Nelson who they paid over 11 million of your taxpayer dollar, and then after we hear about documents to lock up 2 UNC senators. That is what and how the game play. So Shamfa Kojo, do not mamagai the people of this country and tell the people that your government commit itself to quality and free education. That's a myth. In other words, that's a big lie. And that is what you people do to the population. That is how you connive and conspire to defraud the minds of the supporters of the PNM. And that is why they don't know what they will do, dread. That is why you have never provided any opportunity. I and Archie and others, we have seen several schools from early childhood to primary schools, all abandoned, left there to rot with bush and grass, according to the government and Keith Rowley. I now understand why they said that this is for Dwen and Parrot, because the PNM know that the intention was always to undereducate the citizens of this country, because they believe that if the citizens of this country are educated, there would not be any room for the People's National Movement. If the people of this country, if they are educated, the PNM know that there would not be any more room. They have outlived their slave mentality. They have outlived any form of productivity in this country. And those of you who have eyes to see, you would be able to see that there is no future under Keith Rowley. Because if Archie could tell me here this afternoon about all those facilities, those programs that was launched in order to bring the population to a place where they would have been sustained, and the PNM were able to scrap that, then that tells me what kind of people we have in government. Welcome, caller.
Good night, Mr. Roberts. Good night, Archie, and to everybody on the and all those that are locked on. Well, Archie, you give us a mouthful tonight. Thanks
night.
very much for taking us down memory lane. You understand? Because you see, it have a lot of people, not only PNS supporters that irritating me yesterday, but our own 20 supporters. Imagine Mrs. Pasari, 3.5, almost 4 hours articulating, pulling apart the budget. She spoke so eloquently that anybody could understand what it is she was saying. She took her time. She didn't rush anything. She didn't she didn't have to just up any lies or anything to bring birth. But you want to see people fine. You understand? She didn't think. She was strong like she should have high, or she live a bad, or this, that, this. I am so positive. But you see, God knows why I can't go to Facebook yet. Another weekend, I will get on and I will deal with all of them. Yes, look at the next one and they rightly refer to Shampoo. That is why Stephen is very good. She's not doing anything to the money that she's throwing. You can't bet you don't want pensioners and doing nothing and drawing a pension. You was a big woman, you was a splitter, and then you became a minister. You didn't know about women. Leave that for me. And who paid that bill? Who paid that bill? The same set of people. And as Stephen really rightly reminded us, every time we go to the grocery and we spend $1, we are paying VAT. We are paying taxes. Yeah? And I am glad Archie actually reminded them of all the things that Mrs. Prasad was going to do. And that one chairman was building the school hospital people. That's how we literate they are. That hospital, it was in the middle of everything here because we had Petrotrin and all of that. And that hospital can be the best in the Caribbean. All of that, they don't acknowledge what this lady did. Yeah, and they're coming out to talk about what it is and a whole set of who shot Sean. No. I remember when the campaign night, they were going in Faisal in one day here around here. They took me to see the road selection to school. I was shocked to see that beautiful school covered in bird vines. You want to tell me it's bad, 9.5 them so that they refuse, and it's 107 schools, students connect and preschool. They connect those schools to turn and sharp want to come and talk about education. PNM don't anything about education. They rather leave the people in ignorance so they can keep them down. They don't want that. That is why they took away all the laptops from the children. And as you rightly said, Mr. Roberts, I want to see the report. I don't want to see the report. I want to see the report from you that the laptop program was not good. Yes. All they do is to criticize that lady who did so much for this country. And so what them? All of those study camera liver. And he was wrongly told you. And hear the attitude of some of them. Don't, as Marvin telling people, don't boil ham every month. Who is telling this country boils ham every month? The famous, but the poor people can climb up the bikes off for Christmas. And they want to come and talk to the citizens of this country that condescending matter. No, not condescending. Not tolerated it from the PNM and 90 UNC supporters who to come out and play the fool against Kamala Prasad Professor. Have a good time.
Thank you very much, Ms. Santa Cruz, for your comments, and you are quite right. You see, I am saying that people in this country continues to accept the dotish ideology, the propaganda, and the lies of the People's National Movement. We have a prime minister that every time you open him out of that 3 words to his lies. Every 3 words the prime minister spoke, I am telling you that out of 3, 2 of those are lies. But the people in this country, it seems as though they have more faith in lies than truth. And that will tell you the nation that we have. So, Shamfa Kovjo, as I wrap up with you, Miss Lady, stop fooling yourself, mama-guying yourself, because the public would not be interested or interested in the dotishness that all you're getting the opportunity to talk. When them mainstream media provide the opportunity. Because let me tell you something. People in this country who have common sense, they understand clearly that this government is a bunch of crooks, a bunch of thieves, they are liars, they are criminal. Today by the Red House, I asked the police officers if it is possible that they could go to the parliament and arrest the government, lock up every one of those government MPs for corruption, for fraud, for lie, for evilness, for wickedness, for deception, anything you could think about. Just arrest them. Put them on under house arrest. But you see, let me move on. Arrest Shamfa here for now. I comment to Mr. Jacob. I read a story on social media because I tell you I stop by papers. So me have time with that. I rather buy toilet paper all the time, every time, and I have no problem even wiping Imbut and Rowley with the same toilet paper. Me have no problem doing that. I think I could walk with a roll, and when they're perspiring, I could ask them if they want me to wipe away the perspiration. I think toilet paper is the ideal thing for those members of this government. But let me come to Jacob. Express newspaper, September 25th, 2022. Jacob want lie detector test for customs officers. So let me get you an insight. Acting Police Commissioner MacDonald Jacob is recommending yearly polygraph testing, lie detector test that is, of those who work in the customs and exile, and constant vetting of those persons, as well as of those who work in intelligence. The top cop, I don't know if you could call him that. You see that top cop? Or you could keep that for yourself papers. The top cop made the recommendation as he noted that the majority of illegal guns flowing into Trinidad and Tobago are not coming through the borders, but right under the nose of customs and exile at the legal port. That is Jacob. Jacob said, however, that there are challenges because the customs and exile divisions fall under the finance ministry and not under the national security ministry. Adding, he believed this was being reviewed by the government. In an interview with the Sunday Express last week, the commissioner, you see how the papers does mislead you? The commissioner. We have any commissioner here? So I go put in the word there for them. The acting commissioner, the acting PNM commissioner, noted that 7,000 plus firearms have been taken off the streets by police officers who he praised for their tireless work. He said all arms are working in unison to stem the wave of criminality in the face of obstacles. Most of the high-power weapons and weapons generally are coming in through the legal ports. There are high-power weapons, revolvers and pistols coming from Venezuela, but that is minuscule to what is coming through our legal port, Jacob said. Let me tell you something. Jacob is telling us that most of the illegal firearms, that is the AR-15 and the Tech-9 and the Uzi and all the high-power weapons coming through the legal port. Added to that, Jacob is recommending that lie detector tests that customs officers, they must be subject to lie detector tests. Well, Mr. Jacob, you as the acting PNM Commissioner of Police, I would agree with you, but under these conditions, you must lead by example. So the first person who ought to take a lie detector test in this country, Jacob, is you. The second person who should take a lie detector test, Jacob, must be Keith Rowley. The third person who must take a lie detector test before the custom officers had to be none other than Paula May Weeks. You see, Jacob, you, Paula, Rowley, always should take lie detector tests before anybody. Because I want you, Jacob, to ask Rowley and Paula May Weeks if they conspired to thwart a meritless. I want you to ask Rowley, Jacob, where he was on that fateful day when Bliss Sipasad brought the meritless to the president. I want you, Jacob, to give Rowley a lie detector test. Give the president a lie detector test, and she must tell you who was the high-ranking official that interface and interfere, and as a result of their misbehavior in public office, we now have you, Jacob, sitting on a chair as the PNM acting dummy who will carry out the whims and fancy of the PNM National Security Minister and the PNM Prime Minister. We want you, Jacob, to take a test for we to know if you was asked as Gary Griffith to give Rowley friend explosives in Tobago. We want to know, Jacob, if you was asked as Gary Griffith to fast forward firearm license for Hines and Rowley partner and them. We want a lie detector test so that we can know the truth. That is what we want to know. Give yourself Rowley and Paula May Weeks. Put them on the machine. And let me see if the machine go beat. Pop, 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 pop. Or the machine go say, them that lie, them that lie, them that lie, them that lie, them lying all the time. Let us see if the machine will tell us that. Because you can't tell me, Jacob, that you want to put customs officers on the machine while you, Rowley, Hines, Imbot, Stuart Young, a matter of fact, put the government on the machine first. And when you put them on the machine, ask them how much money they're collecting in kickback. Ask them how much money they're collecting from contractors. Ask them where they're banking the money. Put them on the machine. And again, you 3 questions to ask them. How much money they thief so far? 1. Who conspire with them to thief it? 2. And the third question that you must ask them is where they have the money hiding. And let the machine speak. You want to put custom officers on the machine. Why somewhere between 2013 2014, the UNC bought Jacob all the scanners and have them for all the ports. I want you to tell us, Jacob, what is the position with the scanners? Because of recently, we were hearing that in Point Lisas and in other ports, the scanner is non-functional. So when you tell us, Jacob, that criminals shipping guns on bogus names and bogus address, and then you come back and tell we that the high-power guns that you're taking off the street did not come from Colombia, Venezuela, or Brazil. So then, Jacob, it tells us that guns are shipping through the legal channel and reaching its destiny because the scanners are not working. So there's not lie detector test is the problem, Jacob. The problem, Jacob, is a government who believe that the safety and security of the country is of no more importance. A government who believe that the radar system that is also not functioning is of not importance to the stability of security for the country. But you have a minister who sleeps in the parliament, who is only interested in high grades, qualifying himself very high, being a lawyer, high grades. You have to have high grades to be where he is, High grades.
So
but
all,
the national security apparatus, Jacob, now tell us that all the arms of national security is working well. Jacob, you big idiot. You don't know the scanner is a part of the arm of national security. You don't know the radar is part of the arm of national security. When you have your radar and you have your scanner down, Jacob, what you expect to happen with the guns, Jacob? How you would detect them, Jacob? You will push your nose inside a gun barrel to smell gunpowder, to know that there is a gun, and you will follow the scent to know where it's going, Jacob. That is how stupid you guys are, who sits in the chair of national security, sits in the chair of the commissioner of police, and sits in the chair of the prime minister.
so all this scanner and radar and all these things you're talking about, remind me which government put those in place.
In 2013-2014, the UNC partnership-led government, the government that was led by Kamla Prasad Bisesa, they are the ones that were responsible for the 360-degree radar system in the country, the scanners up and functioning in every port. A matter of fact, to add to that, there were also helicopters and so on that were part of the national security arm that could respond in a timely manner to any call that a fisherman would make, any distress call. You would have seen during that period that helicopters were responsible for cornering criminals and running air surveillance, backing up the ground team and bringing fruitful figures in relation to the crime situation.
So, you see, I asked you that question for you to give me that answer. So you see this, why I don't know if I could say, anyhow, let me just say that BS about giving customs officer lie detector test. Tell me something, partner. How a lie detector test go in and catch a customs bringing in guns? How? What are you going to say? Did you bring in guns today?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
So you telling me. So, but the thing is, the people who you just hear bawling, Ray, they just believe that BS. They just believe that BS. So, Mr. Roberts, I want you to continue educating people, right, about that BS that is being put in across to explain why there's guns and all these things coming in. It's just I wonder if they're really incompetent and dotish and stupid, or whether they're trying to create a situation that is so bad for people living here to run away and migrate, so that when you hear they have the elections, it's only great is the PNM voting.
Actually, let me help you a little more with that. The government, they are in partners. Let me say it again. The government, they are partnering with the criminal element. I say that without fear and without favor. And let me help you. I'm going to prove it to you. We have a government that tells us that they know, actually, they know who are the gang leaders. They know the criminal elements. They tell us that they have a gang unit that they put together, and that this unit have gathered intelligence. They know exactly who the gang leaders, who are the perpetrators. They know. They tell us they are aware. They tell us that they have data. They tell us that they put a unit. They tell us that they have spent millions to accumulate this data. They tell us. So if the government tell us that they are aware of who the perpetrators are, who the leaders of those gangs are, and they have all the data, my question today is, how come the government is unable to put or to arrest or to charge or to get a conviction out of the information, the millions of dollars that they say they spent to accumulate the data? How come today we talking about lie detector tests for custom officers? Custom officers selling gun? It's not custom officers selling gun. Custom officer shipment are gone home. Ladies and gentlemen,
so what a custom officer have to do with illegal guns coming through the on checkpoints? What does a custom officer and lie detector? You see the BS? You see the BS?
So actually, when we have...
But the point is, the people who this ball, they will believe that. And you know what? All of them big highfalutin Mark Basant and them in the mainstream media, they have nothing to say about that. They have nothing to say about that because they're collecting the paisa. They're collecting.
And that is what I'm asking Keishan Haynes. Keishan Haynes is this big...
He collecting 70,000 a year, 70,000 a month. Victor, tell me which person in Trinidad is get $70,000 in a year. Them men collecting that in a month. And a month is go, boo. One time the month done and another 70,000, another 70,000. What do they do, boy? So what do they do? They go price smart and buy what? A big ham. What do they do with all that money? And that woman named Kujo say you can't make a sacrifice?
You know, I see a man put up on Facebook that she talking about sacrifice, but she getting everything free. Don't she toiletries?
But she does sacrifice up in Lekoto.
Don't she toiletries and all she getting free. You see, when them talk about sacrifice, Archie, sacrifice to them is what the poor people must make. Why they in sacrifice? Why they in reverse? This, and I have a life to do on that. I gather some dangerous information on this piece of legislation and the salary review committee and all that. Actually, I studying it because I want to have it flowing. I'm putting it together, and I'm going to prove to you, Archie, that this tax exemption that they boasting about, that Rowley wanted to cap at 300,000 and whatever, I will show you how some of them ain't even deserve it, because some of them riding, especially Keith Rowley, he riding in government vehicle with a detailed security. You understand? He not riding your own private vehicle. But we go come to all that in due time. But when them talk about sacrifice, which one of these government ministers making a sacrifice? We still have the UNC MPs putting 10% of the salary actually
Correct.
into
That is what is
utilizing
maintained the UNC.
and maintaining. I want to ask which one of these PNM MPs put in 2% anyway. You see, we must sacrifice, but they must benefit. They must eat. They must drink. They eat the best. They wear the best. They dress the best. They drive the best. But they talk tata. They dress the best. They eat the best. But talk tata. We must sacrifice for they to benefit. Trinidad and Tobago is a little after 8 now. And I want to tell you something. Arch, I want to interrupt myself 1 minute. I don't know if you have a charger to just plug in this phone because my wife will call me after the program. And dead. So I interrupted myself just to ask her to plug in this phone somewhere for me, like just charge. And I know she on the live show, so she go, no, my phone dead. But I know she go call me, and I know nothing on that. Thank you very much. This Trinidad and Tobago are coming to you, the people now. But let me finish up with Jacob. So, Jacob, I want to tell you, boss man, the problem is not lie detector tests. The problem is you. Because you, Jacob, would be an advocate for Rowley and Hines. That is where the problem lies. You are politically contaminated, Jacob. And when you are politically contaminated, holding that acting position that they will want to keep you in for the next 3 years, you would not be able, Jacob, to do the job that the country, that the citizenry expect you to do, Jacob. You would be the go-for boy for the PNM. You will be the go-for boy for Rowley. You will be the go-for boy for Hines. And we don't want a go-for boy. We want an individual sitting in the chair as commissioner of police who will discharge his duty without fear and without favor. We want a commissioner of police that will lock up any member of parliament who do wrong. We want a commissioner of police who will do his job according to the police service regulation. We doesn't want a political tool sitting in the chair, Jacob. That's what we don't want. Because you see, when you have a political tool sitting in the chair, you set a playing field for dishonesty. You set a playing field for people to do whatever they want on one side, while on the other side, people have to walk a straight line. We don't want that, Jacob. We want the people who serve in government at every level to walk the straight line. We don't care if it's UNC. We don't care if it's PNM. We want you to walk the straight line. And worse again, the people who is more criminals than anybody else is those who ought to be independent. And instead of being independent, they're supporting a side of evil to bring hardship on the rest of the country. Shame on you, Annie said George. Shame on you as the Speaker of the House. Shame on you, Christine Kangaloo, as the President of the Senate. Shame. You know why? Because from what we are seeing, you guys are not discharging your duty. And I'm not saying fairly, you know. You are not discharging your duties in the interest of the citizens. That is what we want. Well, I ain't even mentioning the senators, the independents, PNM senators. I even mentioning you because the whole independency of this country is a big joke, a big puppy show. We have a bunch of people who should be independent, who should ensure that the democracy of the country prevail, who should ensure that the Constitution remains as the head guiding figure. And let me tell you something. These same people, I even going by the law association and the judiciary, I even going there. All right? I ain't going there. Because we know what happened with Reggie Amor. We know. We know how they will support a friend and a partner in wrongdoing. Because, they pat you on your shoulder and they say he's a good boy. So even though if you lie and think, boy, we forget that. But let me tell you something. They will beat the children in the house for lying. That is how wicked and sick these people really are. But nevertheless, when you have independent institutions who would not obey the rule of law, when you have a president who would not obey the rule of law, when you have a prime minister who would not obey the rule of law, I want to tell you, Trinidad and Tobago, all you will get from those behavior is nothing short of a lawless society. And because of the seed that the prime minister, the president, and those independent institutions have sown, what you are now reaping on the streets of Trinidad and Tobago, it is the fruits of the labor of the president, the prime minister, and those independent institutions. You are now reaping the fruits. It will only get worse. There is no better to come under Keith Rowley. It will get worse. There are those PNM police who they are now utilizing their position to suppress those who will stand up for freedom and justice. I remember, ladies and gentlemen, that Keith Christopher Rowley have launched several protests in the capital of Port of Spain. I remember that permission was granted to Keith Christopher Rowley and his team to march up and down the streets of Port of Spain. They were given the green light, the all clear, to prance as those horses that the police bring out today on the side street of the parliament. They were able to do what they want. You know why? Because a PNM acting commissioner, just as Jacob, was sitting on that chair which they make a PNM instruction chair. So they had permission to do what they want, to drag the coffin, to drag the mannequin, to mash up the place, to prance up, to jam out, make a carnival atmosphere, do as you please, just bring down the UNC. They were able to solicit permission. Permission was granted at every interval for those individuals to protest. Today, we are in the worst situation ever. But you know what? Moody and them apply for permission to march from Aranjuez to Port of Spain, where they was going to commence at the Parliament building. Permission was granted for them to march from Aranjuez to Branara Promenade with the permission of, in the letter, permission for a PA system. So, on the way, they have this system on the truck. They're using the truck, they're talking on the truck, they're playing the music on the truck. And boom, a khaki man stop and say, no music. If all they want, all they should apply to play music. Well, I don't know you have to apply to the commissioner to play music. I don't know that. Somebody could help me. I know you get permission for the PA system, and you could talk if you want, you could sing if you want, you could play if you want. I know that there's regulation governing the Noise Pollution Act. There's a certain level of decibel that you could reach, and there's a certain level of decibel that you cannot go over. I know that. But I never know that when you apply for permission to use a song system, that you a PA system, that you have to apply to the commissioner to play a tune on it or two, or you might very well have to apply and tell him what tune you're going and play and what tune you ain't playing. And he might give you permission to play a tune, one tune or two tune, and don't play this tune and don't play that tune. You see the utmost rubbish? So the music stopped. When they meet an ex-police, he say, all you could play the music, but don't play too hard. When they reach our next police, he said, don't come by the promenade playing no music. And that's how the thing had to go. Then our next police come and say, I think it was, and he said George who showed them the document, because he was on the truck. And then they say, yeah, you could play the music, but play discreet. Music start back. And that's how the game going. So what you encounter coming down the road is either you encounter PNM police and real police, or you encounter real police and duncy head police. It's either we encounter PNM police and genuine police, or you encounter genuine police and duncy head police. Because if a document from PNM acting commissioner say, yes, you have permission for the PA system, you have permission, then we got to apply for permission to talk on the PA system, because PA system can be utilized for playing music, for talking, for anything you want to do. You see how the game is played? But then the real big PNM police reach. Dress up all in khaki. Let me take the call. Welcome, caller.
Hello. It's Silver Fox here.
Fox, what happening, brother?
Hi there, brother. All you have up 375 by 6373. Look all up at up 375.
Thank you, boy, Silver Fox, boy. We didn't pay attention to that now.
That's why people are calling in.
Yes, 37354888. Boy, Fox, thanks for that, boy.
Yes, man. let me come in my contribution now.
Yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
Now, if we really want Rowley to move from power, we cannot go and apply for any permission. You don't want permission to demonstrate. Trinidad and Tobago is the only island in the world or country in the world applying, right, to get permission to go and march. Look in Russia. Putin just talk about bringing in people to go in the military. People head on the street. In Russia is communist, and people all over Russia head on the street. No permission. We cannot go down this way. Rowley is laughing at us. Rowley is really doing good for us in Trinidad and Tobago because close down petrol train. That is a good thing he do. Here we suffering. That is the next good thing he do. We can't send our children to school. That is the next good thing Rowley do. What in heaven's earth is the people of Trinidad and Tobago is doing? We are big people or little children. Who we are under the sun? Big people or little children? We have to get up as big people and do what is right to do. Rowley has to go. The PNM has to go. The people suffering in this country and still behaving like if they're getting on like they have millions of dollars and they're suffering.
Yes.
They don't even know where next meal coming from. And they're not getting up to tell Rowley, this is the end of you. These police officers are treating you all and treating us as little children. They know better than that, but they want to show us they have more power than us. But we are the government. The people of Trinidad and Tobago is the government, and we have to stop the stupidness that Rowley is doing to us. We have to stop talking and move this man because we will not have a Trinidad and Tobago anymore. Trinidadians, get up, get up, get up, get up. Put a stop to this man once and for all. Rowley's a human being like all you all afraid. What all afraid?
Well, them alone no
folks.
folks.
We have to unite, close down the blasted country of Trinidad and Tobago. Doctors, nurses, teachers, everybody. They can't lock up everybody, but there's no place for that. We have to fight back because right now we have nothing to lose. Thank you, Victor Boy.
Thank you very much, folks. And we're so sorry, callers. We really had the wrong number up. The number is 373-5488. That's 373-5488. We really do apologize for that. And feel free to interrupt me anytime and make your contribution, all right? So, ladies and gentlemen, I think Silver Fox is quite right in his discourse because you are allowing this government to tell you, as Shamfa Kojo said, if you can't make a sacrifice. But hear what she also said. She said she's sure that all they do even have a savings. But why? Why she could speak of your savings? Why she know that all they have a savings? Let me tell you why. For starters, welcome caller.
Hi, good night. Good night.
So, yes, sir, good night.
How are you? Good night to the panel.
Yeah, go ahead.
I want to stray a little bit from the topic there tonight.
Go ahead. You go ahead. Make your contribution.
I got a water bill today, right, for like $1,857.50. And I'm getting water like once for the month, maybe twice for the month, right? Well, I don't know how that will work out. Other than that, I've been to the gas station twice since this gas price went up. The first time I went and I put $100, and which I know it will take me up to probably half tank. And when I saw it didn't work out good, I went back again to put again. I put $150. It just went to like 5/8 of the tank now. So it's really crazy, man. What's happening in this country, man? I'm so fed up and crazy about this shit. Food prices so much. I pay a little 5-pound flour, man. It's like $21, $22 for it, man. I'm sick and tired. Bro. I wish everybody could just come out and go and show their support. Go on the streets, hit the streets, and get these nasty people out of it. As you talk something about them on Facebook and stuff like that, put you in jail. They put me in Facebook jail last night. You know, for a whole 30 days because I only say that take bull, they like bull, that's all. I talk about an animal. I didn't talk about anything else. Bro, have a good night, bro. Nice.
Thanks for your contribution, Kola. Got at you. And Kola, I understand the pain, because I'm going to tell you something. Today, I had to get a rental to move around today. And because my van in the garage. And let me tell you something. When I collect the rental, the gas light on. Actually, I pay $150 in gas. And there's a wet man there. Actually, a wet man is a Tida. I put $150 in gas. And the tank ain't reach half. The tank ain't reach half. And I gone up the road, Port of Spain. When I reach back down San Fernando, I give my daughter the car to go ahead. And I make sure and give she $60 until she put that in fuel. Because the car to go back tomorrow and we are no way, we do have to use it tonight. That is where we are. And Kola, you are so right. This government, according to Fox, making you believe that you could survive. They're making you believe that you could survive. While in but telling you that he intends to collect property tax from you come January, come 2023. You see, you can't buy food, you can't buy clothes, you cannot provide for your children, but you believe that you're all right. But they know that you're not all right because when Keith Rowley changed the money, remember Rowley tell you, they know exactly who are money and who this and who that. Them know exactly. You remember anytime you pass, you went into the bank with a certain amount, you have to make a declaration. And the bank will notify the authorities. And so they're quite aware of what you have. They know what you have. And they also know that you cannot sustain yourself because of the austerity measures that is being implemented upon you. But the only people who don't know that is you. The only people who don't know that they can't survive under these austerity measures is you. You is the only person who don't know that because you are acting like everything is fine. You are acting that like everything is good with you. The caller talk about the water bill, the water bill he get. He talk about he get a bill for $1,857 and change. And he don't know. He don't know how he go make out. Because he ain't even getting water. He not even getting water. They started telling you if you live in close proximity to a pipe, you this and you that and you have to pay and you this and all that kind of hogwash. But you can't get water. A matter of fact, in some place, people buying water. But to the end of the day, it seems as though you are comfortable. The caller say everybody should take to the streets. But guess what? It seems that you are right. It seems as though that Burton do it enough to you. But let Christmas come. Let Christmas come. Let Christmas come. You know, every time when they want to eat and drink and have a merry time, I think all they will start to understand what's going on from January. See, from the new year, I think that is when all they will start to feel the real rat. Because what Imbert and them do to earlier, the criminal element will do. And let me tell you something. The way in which the government implementing these austerity measures upon the people, I am telling you that the criminal industry will grow by 200%.
What is the main reason for the introduction of all these austerity measures? What is the main reason the government is claiming they have to introduce these austerity measures?
They are blaming the fuel price. They are blaming the war in Ukraine.
All right.
They're not blaming the closure of Petrotrin.
All right. So the price of oil now is about close to about $80, $90 a barrel.
I think 92
right?
around there. Yeah.
Didn't Basdev Pandey had to run this country with the price of oil as low as I can't remember, something like $10
$9.50 or something, somewhere around there.
And he never had to raise or introduce any new taxes. So clearly, this government is incapable of running this country. You see, it's very easy. If you have a son and he home and he want money and you just giving him the money, he will live. He will live. But if you tell him you have to go out there and earn that money, find a way, right? He will have to find that way. And that's the problem with this government. They're just incompetent, incapable, and the only way they could increase revenue is taxes. And it is as clear as daylight. I clearly remember under Basdev Pandey, he removed and reduced a lot of taxes. And under Kamla, not one new tax. Right? So these people, they're claiming that they're giving you this and they're giving you that and they would have had to do this. It is really total incompetence, you know.
Yeah, welcome, Walla.
Yes, Archie, I listen you there and I have something to say.
Go ahead.
Before. Now,
Go ahead, brother.
Archie, the government know exactly what they are doing. They know what they want to have us in poverty. They want to suffer us, Archie. The government want to make us people saying, yes, master. They are bringing us back to slavery. This is what they are trying. This is what the head is on. If they get us to say, yes, master, they will do us what they want and they will never move out of power. They will always be PNM will always be the government of the day.
Yep.
I feel you're correct. I feel you're correct.
What they are doing.
I feel you're correct. Look at CPEP work. Yes, master. Look at Hamper. Yes, master.
And sufferers and them they're not saying nothing. Actually, they will come and ask you. They will come and ask you for $1. They will ask you for anything. And if you tell them, vote UNC, is a different topic. It's a different topic. Because they don't care they're suffering, they're still staying for the same people. There's PNM till they're dead, even though they're suffering. But Archie, let them dead. When they're dead, and except come and we go vote them out. And we go, right now, we have to move them out from power right now. Because we can't take no more. Archie, when I get up and I remember PNM in power, like I just want to go mad now, you know. I just can't take this hearing about these people no more, you know, Archie. Archie, if they feel they're bringing property tax to take my land to give to Venezuelans, Archie, let them think different again, you know. Because one thing they taught me from small, folks, you have, regardless of how you're living life, you have to dead. We have to dead, don't care what's happening to us, don't care what, we have to dead. We can't get out of this world alive. My father was a police and he always tell me that. He said, Fox, you cannot get out of this world alive. I don't want to say no more.
Don't say no more, Fox.
Robbie boy, have a pleasant night.
Thank you, Fox.
Library.
Hey, Fox.
Yes.
Fox, we opening the office in Library on Palo Seco side on the 7th, which is next Friday. And we inviting you, Fox, to come down. Don't worry about place to stay. We inviting you to come down. That is next week, Friday at 6:30. We opening the Library UNC office. Come down and we inviting all UNC, every UNC member from every constituency. You are invited. You are invited to come down Palo Seco. Come down Palo Seco. There is a message for you on that day. Come down to Palo Seco. We invite every MP, we invite every councillor, every alderman, we invite every member of the UNC. That is your day, Friday at 6:30, SS Erin Road, Palo Seco Junction. You cannot miss it. We invite you to come down. That is the day we're going to launch. That is the day we're going to cast the pillar of the UNC in the constituency
Pillar
of
in Library, yes.
All right? So remember that date. Remember that date. We inviting all members. A matter of fact, we inviting all non-members. We even inviting PNM members.
But the main people I want to come.
We inviting PNM members. Come down Palo Seco Junction on the 7th. Come down. We inviting you. Come down. Don't worry about
special
it.
section for the Lake Asphalt workers.
Huh?
A special set of
yeah,
chairs
yeah,
here for them.
yeah.
So they'd rather kneel long.
We have things to eat and drink. Don't worry. That day. So we invite you to come down. That's next week, Friday, at 6:30 p.m. Palo Seco Junction. It will be the launch of the UNC office in the constituency of Library. One of the pillars that we will be casting in Library. The rest of the pillars, we would be dependent on you, the people, to help us to finish that course that we're going to start on the 7th of next month. Come out in your numbers. All right? So, Fox, you're invited. Pack your Georgie bundle. I know you ain't have much to worry about. Pack your Georgie bundle and come down Palo Seco. We will have a treat. Arnold Roberts will be there. The whole team will be there. Archie will be there. And others, they will get the opportunity to meet and to greet. All we need to meet and greet folks. So we look forward for your presence next week, Friday. Catch the boat or the plane early. And we will make it happen. So, the people of this country, Fox say leave all the dead. I study how to comment on that. Fox, I feel you really had to leave some of them to dead for 3 years. I think you're right, Fox boy. You had to leave some of them to dead because, you see, I am concerned about the future of the country. I am concerned about the future of the young people. We had our chance. We messed up our chance by supporting the PNM. And I want to be the advocate for the young people to stand up, get involved in the politics. This is your country. Get involved in the decision making because, you know, I was talking to a lady in an insurance company. A gentleman bouncy back my daughter vehicle, Archie. And, you know, we went this week to report the accident. They gave us a letter to take to the next insurance. And the lady was saying, what did the question she asked me, boy? Some questions she asked me in relation to Victor Roberts. So I tell her, I say, Mom, you don't know me? She said, no. Or she asked me my occupation. So I tell her my occupation, and amongst other things, I say amongst other things, I'm involved in politics and so on, and I is a member of the UNC and so on. And she tell me, I don't ever get involved in politics. So I said, well, ma'am, why you wouldn't get involved in the thing that control your life? She said, no, politics will control my life. I said, yes, politics control your life to a great extent. She said, why? I said, so. I said, because any law the politician make, you have to obey.
Robert, anytime people start telling you about they don't get involved in politics, that is just PNM people shame PNM people.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't get involved in politics. All of them is the same thing. That is a rank PNM.
Yeah.
Right? Eating the tutu and saying yes is KFC.
Peanut butter. So I said, why you won't get involved in the thing that control you? She said, but why you say politics control me? I said, because every law that the politician make, you have to obey. Every tax that the politician increase, you have to pay. The politician tell you where you could go, when you could go, how you could go, why you could go, and why you cannot go. I say, so you have to obey. The politician say, look, this is what it is, that is what it is. I say, and it reach a case when the politician tell you it red, you seen it blue, and people still balling it red. She said, well, you have a point. I said, well, I don't want to have a point. I want you to get involved in the thing that control you. And I said that today to tell the whole of Trinidad and Tobago, the young people especially. I want to tell the young people, especially here this afternoon, that you must be responsible for your future. And one of the ways that you can be responsible for your future is to get involved in the decision making of this country. And in order to be involved in the decision making of the country, you have to get involved with the political affairs of the country. Do not be brainwashed by Victor Roberts. Do not be brainwashed by Keith Rowley. You have to look and you have to analyze. You have to understand that, look, the future of this place belongs to me, my children, and my grandchildren. You very well may not live to see, but you have to take a stand for what is right. We allow the mature citizens to carry us down a road and help us to believe in an ideology which they consider to be their party. We must believe in ourselves. We must believe that we have the ability to contribute to what is right in this country. We can no longer allow our government just to do as they want and say as they want and implement measures that will harm our growth in society, measures that we would not be able to build a future. I am telling you, the rate this government is going, many of you may not be able to even married going down the road because you would not be able to provide for your family. You will have to rob and steal and thief and cheat in order to survive. I know people right now who asking the wife to go and look for something to eat. I am not asking you, I am telling you, I know people who is sending their wife out there to look for money, borrow. They reach a point that they telling their wife, go out the road and ask Johnny if he will lend you $100 still next week. And the wife had to go. And I just use her name. If Johnny have the $100, I'm going to give you a story here as God bear me witness. And I don't call God name just so. I know of a man who sent his wife to look for some money. And he telling her, put on the brown tights. And she said, why the brown tights? He said, I'm sure you're going to get the money. I'm telling you from as God is my witness. Put on the brown tights. Archie, so help me God at what telling you tonight, you know.
So
I ain't mama guy, you know, papi showing, you know.
So you telling me Johnny sending his honey
to get money
by Connie?
Put it on the
You know why you say Johnny, boy?
Boy, Archie, the man telling his wife put on the brown tights. And in my presence, she said, why the brong? He said, because he go lend you the money. And Archie, I am telling you, Archie, that is what happened. I ain't telling you nothing else about the brong tights. Don't even ask me if I watch Archie, because I ain't answering you. I am telling you the situation that people facing in this country, Archie. Archie, men sending their wife out there to look for food to put on the table. I am telling you. One man tell me the other day, he said, Robert, let me tell you something. I don't care if my wife won't meet a man who has money. Once my children could survive. You hear what I telling you, brother?
Yeah, but Roberts, sometime in the middle of this show today, we were showing you tertiary education and the young people being aviation engineers and pilots, and children could become nurses and all these kind of things. You trying to tell me we have degenerated into a society where, well, I mean, those ministers' children, they will pay and send them away. They will become these engineers and doctors that Shamfa was talking about. But really and truly, what future the children? We ain't talking about the big people, because all them industries in Point Lisa's closing down. You tell me about industry that opening up. But you know when PNM open up like Nikwan, you know who they're employing, right? You know who they're employing. They're employing their hacks. But generally speaking, those who have a fairly good job, it close to losing. All them T and Tech, WASA, TSTT, they're going home one by one. But I wonder what they just go home and do, Victor. What does go home and do? You know what they just go home and do? They go home and still vote PNM. I could tell you a story of a man who was working Petrotrin, right? Under Manning. He used to get little part-time employment. But when Pandey came in, they make them permanent. So he work in Petrotrin all the time. When Pandey left, Manning came in. They cut his throat. He still vote PNM. When Kamala came in, the man get back his job in Petrotrin. And he get regular work. Happy like papi. He vote PNM. Manning come and he close on Petrotrin. He gone home.
Rowley.
They promise them they will give the refinery to the union. Man, he vote PNM again.
Nothing.
Well, let me tell you what happened with him. He ended up getting COVID and dead. That is how PNM is to some people. It's a cult. It's just they prefer PNM. Imagine twice a UNC government come and you get back your work in Petrotrin 3 times. You vote, you vote PNM forever. Keep voting PNM. But you know, at least he honest. He always come in and tell me, boy, Archie, boy, I vote PNM. But he still go and vote PNM.
Yeah.
That remind me, Marsha was telling us a story. She said her whole family just vote PNM, and all she know is you vote PNM, right? But she says she growing up and she feels she's sensible and she's seeing things wrong, and she make up her mind she going to vote out the PNM. And she said when she reach in the polling station and she going to put her X, she just naturally go on and put the thing by the Balize. She said that is the power of that Balize over people, right? She defy all her common sense and thing, because she said if she was fed up and things ain't working. But she said, nah boy, me ain't taking no chance, nah. But what I don't understand, what chance you talking about? You open your tap, now no water. When Kamala was there, you open your tap, you get water. But I don't understand this thing. And all this old talk about corruption. I take you a bet, Victor. Between now and elections, about 2-3 more UNC people get locked up. Right? I take you a bet.
Yeah.
That is how they want to win these elections. Right? Use the toe jam, as Anil does say, the police, the Balize police squad. Not the whole police service, because the police service is a outstanding entity. Do their job perfectly well. But you see that Balize squad? Yeah.
I know about it. The Balize squad and them to the tippy top. They in the center somewhere there. So they in every rank coming down, they did. So when they're ready to operate, they just know exactly which one to call. They want you in Southwestern, they call the Balize big boy in Southwestern. Hey, Roberts boy, that man get in trouble, boy. We had to slow him down. Today a man tell me, a police tell me today, he say, Roberts, he say every live you do, he said that I send them to analyze. I said, well, analyze what? He said to see what they could charge you for. This is why I tell you, you know. He said every live that we do, they just send it across where I know, to be analyzed. So I asked him, I said, well, analyze for what? To see what they could take out. He said those lives just go across to see what they can charge you for. Because they believe the message reaching the ground. And they don't care about the message reaching upstairs. They care about the message on the ground, because that is where the support lies. So I tell you, I say that to say this. If them will take a live, every live, you know, to see what we say, to see if we see anything that we could be charged for inciting or seditious or whether for treason, whatever they want. But they just looking for something, Archie. They just looking. They just there and they're digging and they're trying to see what they could find. You understand? And I have no problem. Because I always maintain one thing, Archie. I, Victor Alexander Roberts, have no problem getting locked up for what is right. I have absolutely no problem. You see, once something is right, and I am a strong individual, Archie. When I mean strong, I am very, very strong. They can't break me with old talk. They can't break me with wickedness. I will stand for what is right, and I will stand for what is right all the time. They could do what they had to do. I have no problem with they doing with what they doing what they had to do. But I'd say that to tell you, that is how they intend to win an election. They will look for any allegation, Archie, and they will get the PNM, Cosa Nostra, whether they be somewhere within the precincts of the DPP office, to say go ahead and charge. And you know what is sad enough? They don't care how much money the state had to pay after. You know why?
Exactly.
It's not them money.
Exactly.
And they know the state would not have to pay the amount that them thieving out of it. So them in business. The Cosa Nostra is at work at every level, Archie. Remember I tell you that here today. Every office that should have been independent, there is a level of political contamination, and that is where the source, the wickedness from, to create the narrative that you and I and David Lee and Kamla and others are such a bad individuals that as long as they could get the police, the Cosa Nostra, to do the job and to create the narrative, they have the press to do the rest.
By the press.
The press to do the rest. So the press will put UNC activists charge for fraud or for thieving a okro. And if they want to say thieving a okro go sound too trivial, they will say for predial larceny. So they put a broad ban on the act. He was charged for predial larceny. And they will explain what predial larceny entails. One, being found on cultivated land. So you have an intention to thief because what you're doing there. And secondly, they will put stealing of crops. Even though if it's one okra.
Correct.
So they fix the story so the public will now brand you as the PNM will want you to be brand. So once again, if they believe that you are making severe inroads into their playing field that you will call the backyard constituency, then they target you. And if that don't work, then they utilize the criminal element. They utilize the criminal element to create the narrative, and then they will get the Cosa Nostra, the PNM police, to tell you he was known to us and we was watching him. You remember the last general election? Rowley spoke of some candidate in South for the UNC who involved in human trafficking, Spanish from Venezuela to South. And you know where that come from, Archie? I'm going to tell you how easy they create the mischief. Most of those at the time, Spanish, were coming in right in Beach Camp Palo Seco. Right there. Now, listen how these fellas clever. I, as the candidate for the UNC in 2020, hails from Palo Seco. So on a public platform, he pelted out there. A UNC candidate involved, we have information that a UNC candidate involved in human trafficking. And here what I did. On our platform, I said, Rowley, why you ain't call the candidate name? Tell Trinidad and Tobago is the candidate. Same thing when they shoot me, no, Archie. When they shoot me, Rowley went on the media and said that he do believe. Let me make it better. Keith Rowley, I call the name properly. Keith Rowley said to the media that he do believe my shooting was political. And he went on to say that as the minister of, not as the minister, as the prime minister,
as the chair of the National Security Council, he knows things that other people don't know.
Information that you people would not have. So in the next coming days, I will make a statement.
Because he thought you was going to dead.
Exactly. That is in 2016. I just call out Keith Rowley every day. Keith Rowley, please tell Trinidad and Tobago why Victor Roberts get shot. And up to today, he tell us he have solid information, you know. But up to today, Keith Rowley can't tell this country why Victor Roberts was shot on a motorcade. Up to today. You hear what I'm telling you? Keith Rowley will never tell this country. If he know that I was summoned to a meeting, and if he know that out of that meeting was one of his aldermen, and if he know I was asked to withdraw from the election in Palo Seco, and if he know I said that Keith Rowley must give me an affidavit stating what he will do in Labre, and that is the only how I will withdraw with that document. After I refuse the CPEP contracts and refuse the money. The same thing that they try when Makashe and the former minister of local government, Qasim Hussein, came down in the flood and ride on my van, you remember?
Yes.
Right. Qasim Hussein, give me a number to call him. Call me, Roberts. Call me. You hear what I'm telling you, Archie? The same refuse I refuse. And next thing on a motorcade, some government soldiers, TTRF van, regiment,
So you see, you had to forgive your partner, Jeffrey. Jeffrey couldn't refuse.
Boy,
Right?
brother,
That is the kind of inducements, right?
that's
That's
how
the kind of
dread it is.
inducements, right? Jeffrey's a good fella, but the man had to live. The man had to live, so he take the inducements.
And brother, I had no problem with who want to live and how they want to live. But let me tell you what they can't do. They can't influence Victor Roberts to live how them want to live and to act how them act. Because with Victor Roberts, people come first. So the point I'm making, Archie, don't let them fool you. They will do what they have to do every time an election come in. You see that David Lee lock up? Don't fool yourself. And who want to fool themselves? That is them. That David Lee lockup is a politically motivated lockup to continue to spread and to keep the narrative that the UNC is corrupted. And let me tell you more. Don't be surprised, Archie. I bet you do the same thing you better than me. Don't be surprised as the days for the election come closer. You may very well hear they lock up this one and they lock up that one, and they will bring it down to any quarter, whether it be a alderman, a councillor, a member.
Well, I believe it will be local because there's local election coming up. So all of a sudden,
that is
right?
how the game will play.
Right? They want to win Sandy Grande, so you go here, they're going after something in Sandy Grande. They want Siparia.
That is how
you
the
go here, they're
game
going
will
after
play.
something in Siparia.
That is the game,
Right?
brother. That is the game. Don't be surprised, brother. I am a living testimony to the PNM wickedness. You hear what I telling you? I am a living testimony to the PNM wickedness. When them shoot Archie, I tell you I have a real bad habit. I now break it out. And I break it out. I didn't go in and break it out because it saved my life. I have a habit, Archie, when I walk in and I perspire, I don't know why I just take my jersey and wipe my face like that. Because perspiration always go in my eye. I don't know for what reason. So I always do that. Actually, the logo that I had here, that logo remain here. Actually, that man, one single shot straight through the logo. Thank God, the logo remain up here and not down here. That man shoots straight through the logo. I tell you, the jersey burn. Hear what I telling you? Straight through the logo. And that logo only remain up here because of that nasty habit I have. Taking my jersey and wiping the sweat from my eye when I walk in. I was on the motorcade actually in the back of a pickup. My wife driving, my children inside the van. Hear what I'm telling you? The flag that my little daughter was holding, the bullet went straight through the flag before it hit me. She had a little flag here waving outside the van. And that bullet went straight through that flag. The police keep the flag and my jersey. That bullet went through that flag where she holding on the left side here. And then from through that flag, hit me here. Throw me off the van.
Well, that flag was a blessing because that flag would have blurred his clear vision of your heart.
Archie, when the Creator ready for you, nobody can save you. And let me tell you this. When he ain't ready for you, nobody can take you, but they could damage you. You hear what I'm telling you?
Yes, so Victor, Tuesday, your next show Tuesday. I understand you're going to be live down in your
Palo Seco
area. So you're live, so people could join in. You have a live audience there.
Yeah.
So instead of calling, I think people could ask questions live and direct there.
Course. So Tuesday we'll be back down there. Friday, the office will be opening.
Correct.
I just skipping. I just deal with we for now. Friday the office will be opening, and the 8th, which is the Saturday, douglAR Politics will be going live from Dong Palo Seco also.
Correct.
Right? So we have Tuesday we live in Palo Seco. Friday the opening of the office, I don't remember, I think I will do that tomorrow. I don't remember to drop the letter by the police informing them that we going to be launching the office down there. That's formality, right?
Oh, you have to do that. You have to do that.
Right, so I will
remember.
do that tomorrow. So we'll have Tuesday we live there. Friday the office open. Saturday douglAR Politics will be live down there too. Right? So it's action-packed kind of thing down in Palo Seco. I know for a fact that also the hierarchies of the party will also be down there. And I know people will be coming from throughout the length and breadth of this country to show their support. So I know for a fact that everything will be well. Other than that, Monday night actually we having
Monday night forum,
most likely Monday.
Virtual report.
Right.
Yeah, and on Wednesday we have usual douglAR Politics.
Right. And then, well, Friday we there. And
don't forget, this Sunday we have press briefing from the opposition office.
10:30?
Yeah. 10:30 in the morning.
Right. So we have that running. And I think that's all the announcement for now, so we can leave it there for tonight. Right. So we will leave it here for tonight. Archie, any closing words you want to?
That is it.
Right. So we leave it here for tonight. Thanks for viewing. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for your phone call. We do apologize. We had the wrong number up on the screen. We will try to correct that next time. It's just a slip of the finger on the keyboard. It has happened. So stay blessed, stay safe. We out.
A code, a mafiosi code. We keep each other's secret. It's only when you break rank, you go there and expose us, and for that, we're going to kill you politically. It's the code of the Cosa Nostra. As long as we stay together, we will survive together. And we agree not to breach the code of secrecy. A code, a mafiosi code. We keep each other's secret. It's only when you break rank, you go there and expose us, and for that, we're going to kill you politically. It's the code of the Cosa Nostra. As long as we stay together, we will survive together. And we agree not to breach the code of secrecy.